I want to introduce the topic of probability here. Now, probability is really just a likelihood of an event happening. And we often denote this with a P. We write the probability like that. And then we write like what event in there, and then we say equals. So, for example, if we said, well, we're going to, roll a standard six-sided die, what's the probability that we get a 2? Well, first off, probability is always the total number of outcomes possible. So in our case here with the die, I said it's a six-sided die. And the numerator is basically what constitutes that event. Total things in the event. So, for example, in our case, I said rolling a 2. Well, there's only one 2 on the die, so 1 out of 6. But on the other hand, if I said, what's the probability of a 3 or a 5? Well, there's still 6 possible faces on the die, but now there's 1 3, there's 1 5, so there are 2 total things in the event that I'm talking about. So this is really probability. I mean, this is the heart of it, is we just have to figure out how many total outcomes are possible, and then we have to figure out of that what makes up the event we're actually talking about. All right. Now, probability is always seen as a fraction or a decimal. Oftentimes we equate this with like a percent. We're like, well, there's a 60% chance of rain. Well, that's different than probability. Odds are also different than probability. When we say, well, the odds of the Minnesota Twins winning are 3-1. Now, all of these things can be related to each other, but they're all slightly different and presented in slightly different ways. But probability, again, is always a fraction or the decimal equivalent if you actually, divided it out. But it's always a number between 0 and 1. A probability of something, I'm just going to write kind of an event, equaling 0 means that event will never happen. Okay? And a probability of a different event being 1 means it will always happen. So that's the scale we're talking about, and that's why we're talking about fractions or decimals. So numbers between 0 and 1, including 0 and 1. To do one more quick example, let's say we had our sock drawer that included 6 white socks, 4 blue socks, and 8 black socks. And let's say you just reached in and you grabbed one. I know this is a silly example, like why would you pick one sock? But let's say that you did. I want to know the probability that that one sock was a white sock. Okay? So first off, let's just count our total number of outcomes. 6 plus 4 plus 8 is 18. We have 18 socks in the drawer, and a white sock, 6 out of 18. We could say, well, what's the probability it was blue or black? Again, we had 18 socks in the drawer, and there were 4 blues and 8 black for a total of 12 that make that up. So again, this idea of figure out how many total things there are, we call that a sample space. How many outcomes are there? And then figure out what is the total number of things in the event that we're actually talking about. So what portion, basically, of the whole. This is just my introduction to probability. Please stay tuned for more videos about probability. If this video helped you, please like and subscribe for more math help.